So yeah, we're going to be looking at this blindingly bright surface for a little while as I'm still rearranging my office and everything, and I don't have that table set up anymore to show things off. And yes, that means I have something computer related to show off, and technically it's a purchase pickup from eBay, but I don't want to do a typical pickups for it because this is kind of special in a way, and it's something I've been looking for a little while, and I'm hoping that it works. It was tested, pulled from a working system, but we'll see. Let me go ahead and open this up, and we can find out together. And yes, it's crumpled up newspaper. No, that's the packing material, obviously. However, they did also use a newspaper to wrap the item in, and I'm not happy about that because I'm not sure how anti-static newspaper is, especially newsprint type paper. So I'll look at this unwrapped and I'll show you what I got. Now, the listing itself said no returns, obviously untested item, but because of how it was shipped and because it's wrapped this way, if it doesn't work right, like if it got damaged, if it doesn't work itself, I won't necessarily return it, especially since it was listed as untested. But if it got damaged in transit because of how it was wrapped, a different story. But anyway, let's go ahead and open this up further. And it is this Voodoo 1 graphics card without the bracket on there, unfortunately. However, it's different because it also comes with an Alliance Semiconductor ProMotion AT25 chip, meaning it is an all-in-one Voodoo 1 card. It doesn't need a separate 2D card to be able to funnel all the video to using the VGA connection. It does it all internally. Cursory glance, when I looked at the actual photos on eBay, they weren't the best of quality, but I didn't see anything off, no bent pins or anything. But now that I actually have it in my hand, we'll take a closer look at it and see. Nothing here that I can see. Let's look at the RAM modules. They look like they're okay. That there's just a little via, so same there. They look fine. Let's look at the 2D accelerator. Everything seems fine. And look at the Voodoo chips themselves, and maybe I'll put this under my microscope if we see that there are issues with it, and go from there. PCI connector looks good on this side. Now, other side, same thing, looks good. There's nothing on this side except for some dust. I don't see any damaged traces, although there's a little bit of solder mask missing there. Possible rust. Could also just be some debris or something. I'll give the card a cleaning, give it a little bit of a better look. But, yeah, like I said, cursory glance, everything seems fine. So let me give it a cleaning and take another look, and then we'll throw it into my Pentium system and see if it works. So let's talk about this card here. It is known as a Voodoo Rush card, and this was just manufactured by, I forget the name of the company. Oh, right here, Intergraph, and they just call it the Intense 3D Voodoo. It's effectively a, Voodoo 1 card with a 2D accelerator, although the Alliance Semiconductor ProMotion AT25, I think also known as the AT3D, is also a 3D controller. So kind of interesting that they paired up a 3D controller with a 3D controller. But these basically came in multiple variants. There was a 4 meg model. This, I believe, is a 6 meg model, and there was an 8 meg model. And it can either come with the ProMotion, or it can also come with, I believe, let me look at my notes here. I believe there was another Trident version, but I don't think any of those actually came to market. At least none of the research I did shows that they came to market, but there was an option there for that. And it probably would have been a little bit of a better option in my opinion, but that's me. These cards, even though they contain a Voodoo 1 chipset, they are slower than a Voodoo 1 because of the shared memory between the 3DFX chips and the 2D accelerator, in this case, the Alliance Semiconductor. A lot of manufacturers, when they develop these cards, overclock them slightly to try and offset the performance loss as a result. These cards do not sell too well. Surprisingly, though, there are not a lot out there which you would think would drive the price up, but because of the performance, the price is actually pretty good. I did not spend as much as I would have on just a straight up Voodoo 1 card. So, and definitely not a Voodoo 2 or a Voodoo 3 because of the fact that these didn't perform very well. Voodoo 2 cards were pretty much just 3D only, and then you would still have to pair it up with a 2D card. That is until the Voodoo Banshee, which was another attempt at creating an all-in-one card. It was a little bit better than a Voodoo 2. Of course, there was a Voodoo 3, a Voodoo 4, 5, and 6, and so on and so forth. And if I remember correctly, the Voodoo 3 was the first AGP model as well. So there was a PCI model and an AGP model. And they still released PCI and AGP models going forward, but that's beyond the scope of this. So yeah, this card did not do too well in reviews as a result of the lower performance. And like I said, this one is, I believe, a 6 meg card. I'll have to double check. Let me see. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. So if these are each 512K, which let's see if I can, I'll have to look up the part number, but I believe these are 512K chips. So that would equal 6 meg. I wonder if it's possible to replace them with 1 meg chips, giving me 12 megs and then really boosting the performance of this. I guess it would depend on the cost of the chips. The amount of time necessary to replace them, it might not be worth it. So, but I'm still happy I was able to get it just because, like I said, from a pricing standpoint itself, go on eBay, you'll see how much these cards, how much a Voodoo 1, Voodoo 2, Voodoo 3 typically go for. But let's go ahead and we're going to give it a test. We'll put it in my NEC PC. We'll see if it works. And, at the very least 2D, and then we'll test out 3D. We'll test out a couple of games. We're going to do Half-Life and Unreal Tournament. Both of those games came out after the Voodoo 1 chipset and after this card came out, but they do support Voodoo 1 cards as well as Voodoo 2 and Voodoo 3. So Half-Life came out in 1998, I believe, which the Voodoo 2 would have been out at the time, and Unreal Tournament was 1999, which would have been around the time of the Voodoo 3. So the Voodoo 1 on its own might struggle with those games, and since this one is handicapped, it may suffer more. But let's try it. Let's just see if it works, right? I'll just swap it out with the ATI card for now. Again, no bracket, so it's going to be kind of sitting there. I'll have to figure something out for that later. But for testing purposes, it should be just fine. There is video. I've got all the drivers installed and everything. Here's a little utility for the card itself. I have the resolution set to 640 by 480. Currently at 16-bit color, because that's, I forget which game, if it was Unreal Tournament, if it was Half-Life, but one of those required it, so I just set it to that manually. I'm going to attempt to do a capture. If that doesn't work, I do have this obviously recording a screen. So let me go ahead and start recording. So what we're going to do is we're going to play Unreal Tournament first, because I know for a fact that that's got 3D effects support. And I do have this on the latest, well, the last patch, which was 436. There are some community created patches for the game. We're not going to worry about those though. I'm not too concerned with it. So but we'll go ahead and we'll get the game going here in a second. All right, and we're just gonna cancel that. I want to run it from the desktop here. First on configuration. Oh, it's because of the update. So we're gonna just stick with Glide. I might need to tweak some of the settings though. This game came out in 1999, and around that time the Voodoo 3 was out. This is based off the Voodoo 1, so want to try to give it somewhat of a fair chance, of course, but that's provided that it actually works. 2D is one thing, 3D is going to be something completely different, so. And even the intro is kind of skipping. So let's see if we can't tweak some of these options here. Bit, medium, skin detail medium, font size normal, that's fine. Minimum frame rate 20. I think this is as much of an advantage as we're going to be able to give the game. Let's just go ahead and we'll start a, let's see, Did it lock up on me? Nope. It's just that slow. We'll do a practice session. Let me look at the settings real quick here. That's fine. That's fine. I don't really care. And we'll start. I'm only capturing video. I'm not going to capture the sound. I hope the microphone will pick up the music, but at the same time, we're trying to test the video card, not the... Oh yeah, that frame rate's not great. But then again, it's not terrible. And considering this is a first-gen card, effectively, running games that are designed for third-gen 3D, it's not terrible. And again, this would be perfectly playable for most people, especially if you spent the money on a Voodoo 1 card. You're not going to sit there and run out and get a Voodoo 3 card, of course. But yeah, I'd say that this is running okay. Again, it's not the best, but it looks decent. And we're just going to quit because it seems to run pretty well. Next, we'll switch over to Half-Life and see how that's running. All right, let's run Half-Life. Really hoping that the capture's going. That's interesting. The start menu's in the way. There we go. Configuration, video, options. That looks fine there. Video modes. Are using Direct 3D. Now we want OpenGL, and we're going to do 3DFX Mini Driver. And I already have a game pre-saved that we don't have to go through the entire intro. Yeah, this was the game that required, I believe, 640 by 480 at 16-bit color, so, or 65,000 colors. And it's not terrible. It looks okay too, nice and sharp, at least at 640 by 480. For some reason, camera just quit, so kind of hoping that everything got captured. But it's running fairly decently. Hopefully the capture again is getting everything. But as we can see, the textures are going to look as good as they're going to. This game came out in 1998, so again, this is going to be 2 years newer than the graphics card. Voodoo 2 would have been out at this time, so give or take. So it was probably more geared towards that, although again, they did backpatch to support them. And yeah, I mean, again, this isn't designed for benchmarking or anything like that. I don't have any other Voodoo cards to benchmark against, and I don't think it'd be a fair fight against the ATI card, so I'm just going to leave it at that. But it seems to work pretty well. No complaints, no crashes on the PC side of things, at least. A little bit of juddering here and there, but again, this card's kind of handicapped, so we're just going to have to deal with it. But everything's working. 2D works, 3D works. I got lucky, I guess, on this parts-only card. I just need to figure out what to do with the bracket to mount it. So let's go ahead and we'll stop the capturing everything and we'll wrap this up. So overall, I'm happy with the purchase. Again, the price was pretty good considering that a standalone Voodoo 1 card goes for significantly more than what I paid for this, up to 2 to 3 times as much, and the Voodoo 2 and 3 card are even more than that. I am glad that everything is working, of course, 2D, 3D, whatever. The inclusion of this particular ProMotion AT25, I think it was also known as the AT3D, as I said before, is interesting because this is also a 3D accelerator. So you've got this 3D and this 3D. It's entirely possible that the reason why Half-Life saw DirectX is because of this chip itself, not necessarily the Voodoo chips, the 3DFX chips, but hard to say. Yeah, so what do you guys think? I know these cards aren't the best and they didn't sell very well, as we learned earlier. And the fact that it's missing the expansion slot bracket is, kind of a bummer. I'm going to go through all of my cards and see if I have anything that closely matches up, even if I have to like drill out holes, even taking it just a blank, drilling some holes out. It looks like there's only one hole here for a mount. The rest was probably supported by the VGA port itself, which shouldn't be an issue. So do you guys have one of these cards? Did you have one of these growing up? Were you disappointed when you got it and quickly upgraded, or did you just deal with it? Let me know down below. Otherwise, thanks all, and I will catch you later.